Well, a good day to you. This is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Radio. I am Jerry Usher along with Debbie Georgiani and you. We say that all the time. We believe that this show really is yours. You have taken it and made it what it is for over 5.5 years. And we are so very, very grateful for that. And Debbie, over these last 5.5 years, we have had some amazing conversations with our listeners. We've had some great interviews. Of course, we don't do a lot of interviews on this show, but with the grace of Almighty God and the help of our producer, today we have a very special guest for our listeners.
A very special guest right from Assisi, Italy. So we're super excited. And you know and love him because you've been hearing all about his beatification, October 10th, this past October 10th, Carlo Acutis. And we are so excited to have his mother with us, Antonia. And she's right from Italy. We've been enjoying talking to her, and we're just super excited to ask her all the questions that maybe aren't, necessarily reported about Carlo's life. And so with that, welcome, Antonia. Thank you so much for making time for us.
Hello to everybody. Good morning.
It is a real blessing to have you with us here. And there's so much we want to talk about. And, of course, we have less than an hour's time for this radio broadcast. So we just invoke the intercession of Carlo and all of the saints that we typically pray to before this broadcast. And we are looking forward to hearing about not only Carlo's life, Antonia, but also how we can inspire other young people to become saints. And if you would, just take us back to what life was like in your home when Carlo was a young boy and growing up, and how influential was the faith in the home at that time, and tell us a little bit about that.
Carlo was a quite, a normal child, like everybody, in the sense that he had an ordinary life. But of course, since he was a very small child, since he was 4 years old, he started to show a very big interest on faith matter. For example, we used to go outside the house sometimes to do some walk, and when he saw a church, he wanted always to enter to say hello to Jesus and to the Virgin Mary, or sometimes we used to go to do a walk around the parks, and used to take flowers to bring to the Holy Virgin. So he started to show straight away a big interest for faith matter. But so he did an ordinary life, but that became extraordinary, because each thing he used to do for Jesus, in Jesus, and with Jesus. He could do the first Holy Communion when he was 7 years old. Since then, he used to go to Mass each day to do Eucharistic adoration, either before or after Mass, and to pray the Rosary each day. Of course, he used to nourish himself also with the Holy Scriptures, because he liked very much to read the stories of the stories of the life of the saints, and the catechism of the Catholic Church, or for example, also the Bible. So he was really very, very advanced from an intellectual point of view, because if you think that if his first word he said when he was 3 months, he said "dad," because he had a maternity nurse that was English, so he used to speak English and Italian. He was bilingual, and so his first word was "dad" when he was 3 months. That means father. Then at 5 months old, he started to speak. So he was very advanced in everything, also from an intellectual point of view, as I said. And he was gifted from God, of course, in this sense, but he was also very, very technological. This is his characteristic, that also the Pope Francis, when he wrote the Christus Vivit document, that was the final document that they wrote after the Synod of the Youth, He dedicated a chapter to Carlo, and he addressed Carlo. he quoted the phrase of Carlo, all are born original, but many dies as photocopies. And he showed Carlo as an example for the young all over the world, especially the way he used internet, the way he could, through internet, through this technological, export all the gospel, the faith. And for example, he did these exhibitions, one on Eucharistic miracles, which is going all around the world. Really, it's incredible. And also in the United States, he went in many, many, many parishes. And we have also the other exhibition, like for example, the one on the appeal of the Virgin Mary. Then he did the Angel and Demons. That was a little bit an answer to the famous book of Dan Brown, that was everybody were speaking about his books.
Right,
And
right.
so he did his answer, his Catholic answer. And then there was another exhibition he did on hell, purgatory, and paradise. So Carlo was very active from a point of view, to evangelize, no? Even if he used to do a normal life like everybody, he used to go to school, he used to do a little bit of sport. He was not so good on sports in general. He was not so found on doing sport, football, but I mean, he used to enjoy to stay with the classmates, and after the school sometimes he used to stay a little bit to play football, but not to the school, to remain a little bit, but very simple football playing. I mean, he was not so interested in these things. I mean, his main interest was computer to because he was for example, just to explain you, when he was around 9 years old, he used to read the books that we used to buy in the University Polytechnic of Milano, which is one of the most important in Italy for computer engineering. And he used to read these books and to understand all the programs, to do programs, really very, very difficult programs.
Antonia, if you can hold that just for 1 second. The music there means we have to take a short break. But I am just enthralled hearing about your son, Carlo Acutis, who was beatified recently in the Catholic Church as a teenage boy. We're going to all be inspired further by Antonia Salzano when we come back to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Thank you so much for listening to this special edition broadcast of Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We have a great honor and a blessing in the program today. We have the mother of Carlo Acutis. He was beatified in the Catholic Church. He is now Blessed Carlo Acutis, and his mother is with us here, Adriana. And we are talking about the life, the upbringing of Carlo Acutis, and heard so many beautiful things. One of the things that really struck me in what you were saying there, Antonio, a moment ago is no offense intended here, but what we say in this country is your son was just an all-American kid. You know, he was just he was a regular kid. He wanted to be just like the other kids, yet he had this very intense interior notion of the divine and attraction to the divine and to the sacraments, especially the Blessed Sacrament.
That's right.
Talk about, if you would, when you started to see, you and your husband started to see in Carlo these indications of his being drawn more toward religious and spiritual things.
We were very happy because I mean we left him always very free to choose what he wanted to do. So consider that he started to do also the catechism when he was 11 years old because of his brightness, his knowledge of the faith, because also he wanted to do this, and so he was so bright, so good on teaching catechism that the parish asked him to do first the help of the catechist, and then he became a catechist himself. This is the motive why he started to do these exhibitions, because he noticed that there was a lack of faith, especially in the real presence of God in the Blessed Sacrament. So this his zeal for his love for Jesus, he wanted everybody to love, to understand the importance of the Blessed Sacrament, the importance of the fact that Jesus remained with us till the end of the world. He used to say that we are luckier than people that lived 2,000 years ago with Jesus, because these people, to see Jesus, they had to do miles, and they had to, it was not very easy to approach Jesus. Instead, now we are much luckier because we can go down our house and we in a normal church, and we find Jerusalem with us, because really he had a very big faith on the real presence of Jesus in Blessed Sacrament. He was aware. He used to say that the Eucharist is my highway to heaven. And he used to say also that he used to say that he was astonished, he was surprised that in front of a football match, or in front of an actor or a rock singer, there are thousands of people queuing, and then in front of the Blessed Sacrament, sometimes you see empty church. So this was something that really for him was a pain, was a pain, because he didn't understand how was it possible that God stay with us and he lives with us, Since he used to say that since 2,000 years, when there was Jesus was crucified, the Holy Trinity took residence in this earth. We have the Holy Trinity that lives with us. So I mean, it's something incredible. This earth, used to say, this planet, from a geological point of view, from an astronomic point of view, is always the same since the incarnation of God, of Jesus. But from a supernatural point of view, is not anymore the same, because it's cohabitated. The Holy Trinity lives in this earth. So it's something incredible. It's something incredible. Carlo, you used to live at the presence of God in his life. And this presence of God was so strong that, of course, people realized that he had something special. Was the reason why he attracted so much people around him, and he was so special.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When he prayed, because of course of his big faith, he used to pray with really intensity, and he used to obtain also, when he was alive, a lot of miracles, a lot of conversion of people, because really he had a very, very big faith. Of course, he was a normal child. Like everybody, used to do an effort to improve himself. For example, when he was young, very young, he used to eat a lot. So he imposed himself temperance, to moderate the income of food, And he used to put notes in a book he had, to write him notes, how I behave with my classmates, how I behave with my teachers, how do I behave with my parents. Do I am a good son, a good person? I mean, he used to do an effort always to improve himself, So Carlo had this impulse to the perfection. He wanted to please God. So when he saw that in him there was something that was not so good, he tried always to improve himself. He used to say that what is the aim of winning 1,000 of battles if we are not able to win ourselves with our corrupt passions?
Right.
So the struggle used to say that is with ourselves, and so this was his concept of spirituality, to improve, not me but God, used to say. In Italian it sounds better because io ma Dio.
Beautiful. Antonia, let me ask you a couple questions because I was drawn to your son. Let me just share something. I knew about your son after his passing from leukemia, and I'm so sorry, for your loss. I know that it's written that he offered his sufferings for the church and for Pope Benedict, and how beautiful was that in his young 15 years, being able to grasp that idea of suffering and how to offer that for others. So beautiful. But I was drawn to your son simply because of his cataloging of Eucharistic miracles. I absolutely loved that about him. And I thought, with the Eucharist being the source and summit of our faith, for your son to take that time and to catalog everything online of the Eucharistic miracles, what a beautiful way to leave as a gift for those in his generation, for the millennials, for the Gen Zers. I think it's just wonderful. Your son really touched my heart when I read all of these stories about him. And I was always curious of a couple things, if I may ask you, Antonia, and you said we are free to ask you some things about your son that maybe that's not reported on regularly. So let me ask you this first question. Did Carlo ever talk about his guardian angel? Did he ever have any encounters with his guardian angel? And when did you realize that you had a little mini saint that you were raising? At what point did you ever just one day wake up and think, this boy is very special?
I mean, that Carlo was very special. We realized since he was very small because he was so obedient, so sweet, so generous. I mean, he was really special. In fact, I used to joke sometimes. I like to call him the little Buddha. I like to say that he was a little bit enlightened. We used to joke about this. And Carlo was really special since he was small. But of course, special, he was human as well. And so, as I told you, he had a little defect that he tried to improve. But the relation with the guardian angel, he had a special relation because the guardian angel, he used to say that the name was Gabriele, no? And he used to pray very often the guardian angel. I think he saw the guardian angel. He used to see the guardian angel sometimes. Huh? And we experimented the help of the guardian angel of Carlo, especially when we did some trips around Europe. Because Carlo used to ask things and then the things comes so quickly, so easily, and sometimes it arrives, the answers. So we experimented that the guardian angel of Carlo was very powerful. And Carlo used to say that people has to pray the guardian angel because most of the people don't pray the guardian angel. And this is a pity because the guardian angel are very active and God used to say that God put us the guardian angel that will follow us when we will die. No, if we go in the purgatory, they will follow us in the purgatory, and then as soon as we go to heaven, they will stay always with us because they have a mission. No, they don't have several people to follow. No, they follow you, and you will be for the eternity. And when you go in heaven, used to say that, of course, if you go, I mean, I hope nobody goes to hell, but unfortunately some go. If you go to hell, the guardian angel goes away. No, don't follow you. Only in purgatory and in heaven. Huh? Okay. And used to say that our guardian angel we can ask many things. We can ask also, if, for example, the young people, no, when they have to study, if help, also concrete help, no, for example, when they have to be, examined from the teachers, or they don't understand something, they really have to ask more frequently, because the guardian angel helps us very much, and also to send the guardian angel to other people, to speak with other people. For example, if I have something, I have to send the guardian angel for example, to ask a question or to say something to another person, to prepare a situation. I mean, the guardian angel is really fantastic. I mean, Carlo was very much touched from Santa Gemma Galgani, because when he was small, we went to visit the house where she lived. And Santa Gemma used to have a special relation with the spiritual director that lived in Verona, and she used to live in Lucca. And I mean, the distance was like to say 600, 700 kilometers, which is, I mean, a big distance. But she lived she lived many years ago, so there were no speedy post or thing. But she used to write the letters and to put in the cup in a desk she had. And the morning after, the spiritual director had the letter. So the guardian angel used to bring the letters to the spiritual director. It's incredible. I mean, it is witnessed from. I mean, there was a process. So Carlo was very touched from this, and so she inspired very much Carlo also in this relation with Gemma Galgani. Inspired very much Carlo on this relation with the guardian angel. Also, there was Father Pio of Pretrelcina, San Pio of Pretrelcina.
Sure.
And Carlo really was, and he used to call his guardian angel Gabriele. I don't know why he said that the name is Gabriele. So this is the relation. I think that everybody should pray more the guardian angel. This is a problem of our generation, lack of faith, the lack of faith. So also the guardian angel, unfortunately, we don't have faith on their existence. And the Carlo was very much found also in the archangel, especially San Michele, because we went to visit San Michele, the archangel, many times. In the place where he appeared in the south of Italy, there is a cave, a very, very impressive cave where the Archangel St. Michael appeared. And we went to visit and to ask for prayers. It's a really special place. It's a special place because when, for example, there are disturbed people from the devil, they have, sometimes they bring people that have problem with the devil. When they enter in this cave, really there is something happens, very particular things. And it's very powerful, this cave, because really you feel the presence of this archangel. And Carlo used to love very much this place. Father Pio used to send people when he couldn't do anything. He used to send to the cave of San Michael, Monte Sant'Angelo, in the region of Puglia, in Italy, south of Italy. And it's a very impressive place, very old place. You also find a lot of masterpiece of the. So if you like also art, but it's really impressive, this place, from a spiritual point of view. And Carlo used to pray each day the crown of the guardian, the angels, the 9 cores of the angels, which is a prayer that is done also. And used to invoke the San Michael and the San Gabriel and San Raphael. And the guardian angel used to pray continuously. So he teach me to pray more my guardian angel. And I really feel the help of my guardian angel, really.
Wow. That is fantastic, the influence that Carlo had on your family and continues to have, of course, as he is now Blessed Carlo Acutis. I am Jerry Usher, along with Debbie Georgiani and you, and we have Antonia Salzano with us on this very special broadcast of Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Yeah, she is the mother of Blessed Carlo Acutis, who was beatified just a short time ago in October of 2020. And Debbie, I know we both are just fascinated by this conversation. There's so much more that we want to ask of Antonia, and we've got another segment coming up. But Debbie, this is all just, I'm sure the listeners are just soaking this in right now and are so blessed by this.
Oh, Antonia, we just cannot thank you enough for being with us. We just never want to let you go. You are amazing, and it keeps us connected to your precious son. So how beautiful is that? Thank you for being with us today, and we'll continue this this wonderful broadcast of Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Stay tuned in. You want to hear more from Antonia, Carlos' mom. How beautiful is that?
Okay, we are back on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, and you obviously not taking your calls today because we have the very special gift of having a soon-to-be canonized saint, God willing, his mother on the line with us here today from Italy. Antonia Salzano is with us, and we're talking about her son, Blessed Carlo Acutis. And Debbie, you asked that question about the guardian angel, and I'm so happy to hear, Antonia, that he made such use of his guardian angel and tapped into that spiritual resource. What about the influence we talked right before the break? What about the influence that Carlo had on you, on his father, and maybe the rest of your family, your immediate family?
Of course, Carlo was like a source of water, no? Limpid, transparent water to live close to Carlo. And I must say that for my experience, special experience, I was not so religious because I came from a like family. My husband was much more religious than I am. Unfortunately, my father was a publisher and was very much, with a like mentality. So I went to I received the sacraments of the preparation, the Holy Communion, and the confirmation because I attend some Catholic school. But of course, I didn't have an example from my parents. So I probably went to church 3-4 times before to get married. And instead, after I got married, and especially after the Carlo was born, Carlo started to make me questions, to make me many, and I was very ignorant. And this created me a sort of dichotomy because, of course, I had to be, I have to be also a figure of, a coherence with my son. Instead, I baptized him. I didn't know anything about faith, etc. So Carlo, for me, was really a savior because through Carlo, I started to inquire myself a little bit, no, to study, to go deeper in the knowledge of my faith, the faith that I was baptized on. And then I had the chance to meet a very special priest who lived in Bologna, who was my very old priest when I met him. But because I had also the sudden death of my son, my father, that creates me a little bit of cries. So I was in a situation very good for approaching faith, you know. And I went for work in this place, and somebody had spoken to me about this priest that was called a little bit the Father Pio of Bologna. And I met him. I went to visit him. Since the first meeting with him, he said to me all my life, because he was inspired really. And he also said to me that Carl was a very special child, that he had a special mission. I didn't understand which type of mission since he was dead. But then I understood that his mission was from heaven, not from the earth. I thought that probably Carlo would have embraced the religious life, so he would have became important in the church. Instead, Jesus had other plans for Carlo. And of course, with this priest, he suggested me to study theology in my free time. And there is the possibility in Italy to attend courses of theology for like people, also through the weekend, etc. So I started to do my studies, and even if I have already degree, etc. But I wanted to go deeper in my faith. And so I started to do a lot of exams, Greek, Hebrew, and the Bible exegesis. I did a lot of exams. I didn't finish my studies, unfortunately, I couldn't. But I did something like 60 exams on
Wow.
theology, and this helped me very much. And so, I mean, this is my personal no path. My husband was a little bit much better than I am, but of course he was not fervent Catholic. And also for my husband, Carlo was a little bit a savior because I mean, staying with Carlo, became, I mean, it was impossible not to become more fervent
Mm.
because Carlo was really a preacher as well, not only
Beautiful.
the, when he was small, but he was a preacher. I mean, for example, we had a waiter living with us that was from was Hinduist, religious of the priestly caste, no, that was Indian. And because of Carlo, because the way he was preaching, was speaking about Jesus, the Holy Eucharist, he was sometimes accompanying him to church, etc. He wanted to become a Catholic. So Carlo had also some people that in life started to change, you know. For example, my mother. My mother was very far away from religion, no? Because she didn't attend the mass, she didn't pray. Instead, also my mother started, and in our family. So the first fruit Carlo had fruit around him. And of course, now that after his death, is really was incredible how many people he helped to reapproach to the Catholic faith, to convert, no? Because I mean, Carlo did many healing. We can say miracles. People that had tumor, cancer with metastatic problems, he healed, no, through his intercession. We had many miracles. It was chosen one for his beatification, of course, but he did many, and but especially he did spiritual miracle. A lot of people that. Started to pray again. Started some priests that had problem with their faith. They through Carlo they renew their faith, or really or nuns, or I mean it's incredible this, and I think these are the most important
Mhm.
miracles because the spiritual miracles are the most important in my
Right.
opinion.
Antonia, we only have a few minutes left, but you know your son had such a great devotion to God, and of course, you know the Eucharist. He was so devoted to the Eucharist, and so he had an impact, obviously, on you and those he encountered with his incredible, like you said, preaching. Well, he's having an impact on us as well. So many of us have been reading about your son, learning about him, and you know having you with us really does make that connection so real for us. But I just want to get back to this real quickly. We only have a few minutes. Your son was diagnosed with leukemia. He ended up dying because of that. Your son was in, you know, had, it sounded like from the reports, some tremendous suffering. And like I said, he offered it up for the Pope and for the church. What can you say to everybody who we all suffer? We go through a lot of bad things that happen to us and we're suffering, but yet your son at such a young age was able to transition that and to offer it up for others. Could you share anything about that, about his mindset at such a young age? He was a teenager. Didn't he get angry? Didn't he get sad that he was diagnosed with leukemia, or did he just immediately turn that around?
No, I think Carlo had always the awareness that he would have died young because he was saying that first of all he predicted the way he was going to die because he said that he would have died with brain hemorrhage, and this was the reason of his death. Secondly, 2 months before to die, 2 months, we were in summer, he died in October. He did a video in which he predicted that when he was weighing 70 kilos, he would have, his destiny was to die. He looked at the sky like this, and he does a fantastic smile. And this video we found after his death, and we actually is also was taken also from a documentary that the Vatican produced over Carlo. That just to tell you. And a few days before to get, it was diagnosed the leukemia that was the sudden leukemia, no, the fulminous leukemia, which is very rapid. I mean, all the matter of his illness lasts, I think, less than 1 week, you know. And practically, at the beginning, we thought that it was a simple flu because all his classmates had a sort of flu or grippe. So, and he had a little bit of fever, etc. But nobody. And in that situation, he said that he would have offered his sufferance for God, for the Pope, for the Church, not to go to purgatory, and we didn't notice very much this phrase because sometimes Carlo used to joke, so we didn't give a lot of importance to these words he said. But in few days after, unfortunately, this leukemia was manifested very much on his tragedy. And so Carlo was recovering in the hospital. And when he said to me, Mama, from here I won't come back alive, but don't worry, I will give you a lot of signs. He used to be always with a smile, never complaining for the pain. When the doctor asked him if he suffered, he used to say always, there are people that suffer much more than I'm suffering. And also he was always projected towards people, no? Because he was, for example, he was sorry for the nurse because he was in the pediatric place, and he was tall 1 meter and 82, even if he was only 15 years old. And of course, he was very tall, and this nurse had to move him because he couldn't move for the leukemia. And he was sorry that this fragile nurse had to move, always thinking on the other, no, like it was his style. And he never complained, never. And he said, I die happy because I never spent 1 minute of my life things that God doesn't please, to loves. And it was really peaceful. No, at a certain moment, he seems that he fall asleep. No, with a smile. And my mother said to me, "Don't move, so we don't wake up him." Instead, he had fallen in coma. No. So unfortunately, then after few hours, he died. But anyway, what is important is that Carlo was so aware about the presence of God in his life, you know. So he put always God at the first place in his life. So the death for Carlo was the natural, was the start of the real life. Carlo used to say always this, no? He believed in afterlife. He used to say that in the Golgotha, everybody will have to go up in the hill of the Golgotha, first or before. I mean, it is a question of time, but each one of us, his destiny is to go to the Golgotha. So it is important to be prepared. And each minute of life that God gives us is a minute, and that pass is a minute less we have to sanctify, to bless, no, to become holy, no? So he used to say that we don't have to waste the time that God gives us as a presence, because since we have this time, we can do, we can grow on the love for God and of the others, of people, which is the secret to become saint. Unfortunately, after life, we cannot do anything to grow in this level of love, no? And this the level of love which the charity level we will die is the charity is the grade of beatitude we will have forever. So everything has to be done in this earth. So after we cannot do anything more. So it's a pity for the eternity that, one thing is to die with a small, very small level of charity, of love for God and And one thing is to die with a very big level, huh? Because
Right.
our attitude will be different. So it's really a pity to waste time. Carlo had a sense of the time, very profound and devoted sense of for the time, because time, he used to say, is a creature of God. He created for us, and he showed us in his incarnation how to glorify God each minute of life with a special, because Jesus lived his life perfectly. So we should learn from Jesus, the way he spent his life. And we are all called to do this. Unfortunately, we waste time. We don't think to pray. We don't understand that the sacraments are the holiest things most supernatural things that we have in our world, because through the sacraments really we can do this highway to heaven. This we can become saint, because really the sacrament is the grace of God that helps us. Through the sacraments really we are transfigurated, we become what in the mind of God we already are, we can become. And this is very important. This sacrament is a gift that God gives us. So Carlo was aware of this, and all his life he spent to try to make people understand the importance of the sacraments. And for example, this exhibition of Eucharistic miracle, we had the one of Lanciano, in which the host became chair, no? Is very famous, was analyzed. But then we have Buenos Aires, the same, in which Pope Francis was cardinal. And then after the death of Carlo, we had the Tixla in Mexico, the same. The host transformed and become a part of the heart chair. And then we have Sogorka, we have Lenica. All these Eucharistic miracles that Jesus performed also after the death of Carlo, in my opinion, are sign, very important sign to make us aware about the importance of the sacrament. Jesus really wants to recall us to become more Eucharistic. And the Vatican spoke about these last miracles I was quoted before in a documentary which is called Sign. No? And they quoted also the exhibition of Carlo that also in the United States was very much displayed. I know that thousands of parishes had asked us this exhibition. And the thing is that is incredible is the way, because this Eucharistic exhibition is not only the fact that it helps people to renew their faith on the Blessed Sacrament, but it's also the chain of charity that is creating, because a lot of people make themselves volunteers to promote the exhibition. And this is also a way to involve people to do charity things, to speak about God, to do things for God, for the kingdom of God. So this is another miracle, in my opinion. For example, now in this moment, we have the exhibition all over the world, but we have in Japan, we have in Asia, all Indian Bishop Conference are promoting the exhibition all over India. Then we have Africa, we have Europe, we have in the United States, in many places, and then we have in South America, Brazil. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, it's incredible how from a simple computer of Milano, a child of Milano, an unknown child, could do so many things
Right.
through internet. And he's an influencer of God, Carlo, in a certain way. Instead of being influencer of how to dress or what to wear, he's an influencer of God. And Carlo showed the good side of internet, they show how it's important to see always to promote through internet the good the gospel, the love for God, the love for so it's very important nowadays, because with this Facebook, all this social media, it's a little bit a society. Our society is a little bit close in ourselves, to show ourselves, our photos, our selfie, etc. And it's like to put God to eliminate God. It's important to show us to have the finger up because if we have the finger up, we're happy. If we have many visits in our web, so we have many friends, so we're happy. Then after, if we don't have the finger up, we become sad. I mean, it's everything seems to, to exalt the people, no, not and
Right,
to eliminate
right.
God from. And Carlo instead recall us is a little bit prophetic, because recall us to the most important thing, to put God overall to the center of the world. I think this is very prophetic in this period, because really our society is a little bit, seems to have loosened the most important things, which is God. So it seems that the man is places at the place of God, no? So this
Yes.
is what I think Carlo is important to his message.
Well, that's beautiful, Antonia, that you just said that, and we may have to leave it there. We may have to end our conversation, unfortunately, but I was going to ask that very question, and that is, what is Carlo's message today to the world? What is his legacy? What can we take away from his life? And you really just filled us in on that, and I think that is so beautiful. We have been talking with Antonia Salzano. She is the mother of Blessed Carlo Acutis. He was beatified in October of 2020, and not too long ago, and we just got we have been hearing a lot about his amazing life, his very regular life in many ways, Debbie. His life as just a normal young man growing up and having friends and going to school and playing video games and watching movies, but all of the profound spiritual components of that as well have led to his now being beatified and called blessed.
Blessed Carlo, every time I think of your son, I think of the Eucharist because of his great, deep love for the Eucharist. And I just want to say, Antonia, he's very special, but he came from a very special mom. And thank you. Thank you for raising such a beautiful son so that he can be for us, an inspiration to grow in holiness and to want to strive. Like you just said, say it again one more time. You said the highway. What did you used to say about the highway to heaven?
The Eucharist is my highway to heaven.
I love it. Antonia, you are so special. You're all heart. It's so obvious. And we just love you to pieces, and we love your son, and we cannot wait to call him Saint Carlo. So let's hope for those continued miracles. And praise be to God. Thank you.
Thank you very much for you and for all what you are doing with the EWTN. That Carlo used to know this Mother Angelica, because we had some cartoons about Mother Angelica. So really was very keen on what you are doing. Really, you appreciate very much.
Well, and as we let you go, Antonia, I want to point people's attention to the website, carloacutis.com. Carlo Acutis, that's C-A-R-L-O, last name A-C-U-T-I-S, carloacutis.com, one of the most recent blesseds to be beatified in the Catholic Church. Thank you again, Antonia, for being with us here, and God bless you. May God shower more blessings upon the world through your beautiful, amazing son, I'm sure whom you're very, very proud of. Thank you, Antonia, for your time.
Thank you, and a prayer for everybody. Thank you very much.
God bless
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Wow, Debbie, what an amazing conversation with really quite a lovely and charming woman. And we didn't get a chance to ask her, but I really would love to know what it was like to be at the beatification of your very own son. I mean, there has to be a certain moment in that ceremony that you can hardly wrap your mind around.
Right. Well, we just simply ran out of time. I mean, she just gave us such incredible insights on living with this wonderful son of hers. And I'll tell you what, Jerry, my takeaway from this whole entire special time with Antonia, the mother of Blessed Carlo, I just want to say that, his love for the Eucharist, his desire to serve others, his willingness to offer up his great suffering through leukemia, and that's ultimately what took his life. He offered it up for the church, for the Pope. His desire to stay connected to God, his relationship with his guardian angel. I mean, it goes on and on. That's why I eventually said to Antonia, what was it like to have a little saint? And and she shared some her great comments. amazing conversation. Maybe we could do a follow-up with her as it progresses. I know they're trying to, investigate some more miracles and stuff like that in order for his, canonization. But I have to say it again. I can't wait I love calling him blessed, but I can't wait to be able to someday call him Saint Carlo.
Mm-hmm. Well, we can all certainly turn to him for his intercession right now, ask him for his prayers. And my takeaway was, again, this just shows the amazing way that our God works. We talked about on shows before, you don't have to be a priest or a religious or spend hours and hours a day in prayer. God works in everyone's life in the state of life that they are in. And I think with so many problems among our young people today, Debbie, I think the church is doing a great job, a beautiful thing. God is actually doing a great thing by holding Carlo up to not only the entire world, but also especially to young people today. I think he's going to have a profound impact on a lot of young people.
Oh yeah, the saint for the millennials and the Gen Zers. I love it. So if you liked this broadcast, if you'd like us to do more of this and these great interviews and these exclusives, please email us. Give us your feedback at take2@EWTN.com. Thank you so much for joining us on this wonderful time that we got to spend as we were talking to Antonia in Assisi, Italy, Jerry.
Yeah, right there. She was with us from Assisi, as you said, and we certainly hope and pray that you have been blessed by this broadcast, and we thank you for listening and being part of the Take Two with Jerry and Debbie family. Thanks to the show team and affiliates for carrying the broadcast.